Welcome back to another episode of Bromance. I'm Ryan, and today going to do another solo pod. Probably going to keep it 20 to 30 minutes or so. But before I get into it, let's hit the intro.
DA got that dope.
Ice water turn Atlantic. Night calling in a phantom. Told them, hold it, don't you panic.
All right, welcome back again. I want to do a solo pod, probably 20 or 30 minutes. Just kind of going over the NBA play-in game so far, and then at the end, I want to do a little segment on the Knicks. So let's talk about the Magic and the Hawks game. So the Magic, they beat the Atlanta Hawks 120-95. My thoughts from that game was holy defense. Trae Young was not really able to get any shots up. He went 8 for 21 from the field, and then he got the two technicals at the end of the game, so he got ejected. The Magic, they had as much of a. I wrote that down wrong. The Magic, they were up by as much as 29 points. I would personally say, watching it midway through the second quarter, I was telling Hannah, I'm like, yeah, the Magic are going to smoke the Hawks just because they can't score. And I think at that point it was like 45 to I think it was like 45 to like 29 or something like that. And I'm like, yeah, they just can't score. And the Magic, they're really not known for their offense. So the fact that they had like 45 points with 7-ish minutes to go, I thought that was kind of curtains. But Cole Anthony, he comes off the bench. He led the Magic with 26 points and 6 assists. And then Anthony Black, he also came off the bench and he scored 16 points. He had a few huge threes. I think it was like that second, third quarter ish. And he had the biggest plus minus of the game with plus 34. So the Hawks were not eliminated. The Magic, now they advance to be the 7th seed and they play the Celtics. The Hawks, they play the Heat tonight, and we will talk about that later. The Warriors Grizzlies. So the Warriors, they beat the Grizzlies 121-116. Jimmy Butler led the way with 38 points, 7 rebounds, and 6 assists. Steph Curry had 37 points. He had 8 rebounds and 4 assists. So two really, big games from probably their two best players. Desmond Bane, he led his team with 30 points, including 5 3-pointers. Ja Morant, 22 points. Zach Edey, he had 14 points and 17 rebounds, which I think is going to be important for this Mavericks game we'll talk about later. But Zach Edey, 14 points and 17 rebounds. I was actually talking to Terrell on the phone the day of this game, and I was like, man, I'm curious what they do with Zach Edey, because I'm not saying he's going to be a problem offensively, but that mismatch with him and Draymond on the offensive end is going to be like very noticeable. So he didn't really kill it with points, but he definitely killed it with his rebounds. Steph Curry, he had 15 of the Warriors' last 21 points, so clutch on his end. The Grizzlies, they had one last chance to tie it at the end, but Sandy Aldama was called for a 5-second violation on the inbound pass. That, I think it was like 5.7 seconds left. That was rough because all you got to do is get the ball and get a shot up at the rim, and hopefully you guys can tie the game. But to not get a shot up at all was bad. Ja Morant, he twisted his ankle in the third quarter, but he came back in the fourth, so he was hurt for a little bit. So the Warriors, let's talk about this. The Warriors, they clinched the 7th seed in the Western Conference Finals, and they play the Rockets, the 2 seed. And the Warriors, they're actually favored to win this series. The last time I checked I think it was Thursday when I checked, it was minus 200. So kind of surprising. Heat beat the Bulls 112-91. The Heat, they felt like they really had that game under control the entire time. It was played in Chicago, and I kind of felt bad because while I was watching the game, you could tell that those fans were just trying to root for anything. And, the Bulls would go on a little bit of a run, and Spo would, slow everything down, call timeouts, gather his team. But Tyler Hero looked really good. He scored 38 points with 5 rebounds. And the Miami Heat, they held the Bulls to a season low 90. The Miami Heat held the Bulls to a season low 90 points. So That's rough. The Bulls are eliminated now. Um, I feel like every single season that the Bulls are kind of stuck in this play-in scenario, and they always lose. Even though I think, you know what? I think last year they advanced. I want to say that they advanced last year, and I believe they played the Celtics. But Davion Mitchell, he looked really good off the bench. He scored 15 points, 9 assists with 33 minutes of play. And the Heat, they now play the Hawks tonight. So I'm recording this Friday at 6. So the Heat play the Hawks tonight to see who can get the 8 seed. The Mavericks Kings game. So the Mavericks, they beat the Sacramento Kings 120 to 106. Anthony Davis had a really good game. He had 27 points and 9 rebounds. Klay Thompson, 23 points, including 5 threes. So he had a lot of energy with those threes. DeMar DeRozan was a leading scorer for the Kings. He had 33 points and 7 rebounds. And the Mavericks now advance in the play-in tournament, and they will play the Memphis Grizzlies tonight. So the Kings are out. Kings had another weird season. They fired their coach, Mike Brown. They make, the De'Aaron Fox trade. So I'm not really sure what they're going to do this offseason. I'm not sure who they're going to hire as their head coach. I'm not the biggest fan of their owner, so I think a lot of that kind of has to do with how their team performs year in and year out. But let's go over the Friday night predictions. So the Heat Hawks game is tonight. The Heat are favored by 1.5 on the road. Honestly, give me the Heat. They have more playoff experience. They have more chemistry. They have the better head coach. I know that they made the Jimmy Butler trade, but I still feel like they have their core guys. I personally think that Trae Young is going to have another long night. So give me the Heat. And they are actually also are playing on the road too. But honestly, I don't really care about that. And Grizzlies Mavs. So Grizzlies are favored by 5.5 points at home. I really feel like that this one can kind of go either way, just because I don't think you really know what you're going to get with the Mavericks, just because, the whole Luka Doncic situation, all their players getting hurt throughout the year. This has kind of been like a season from hell for them, kind of on their own, But, I mean, Luka was hurt for a while, then he got traded. Then they traded like smaller rotation guys like Quentin Grimes. So I could see it going either way, but honestly, give me the Grizzlies. They have Jaren Jackson Jr., and they also have Zach Edey, who can kind of slow down AD. I think Desmond Bane looked really good his last game as well. So, yeah, I just think that the Grizzlies are the better team, and they are also playing at home. And they barely lost to the Warriors, too, so I want to keep that in mind as well. So let's talk about the Knicks. The Knicks play the Pistons. I've talked about this, I think, twice on the last few solo pods. Give me the Pistons, man. This is a matchup that I wanted, so I'm going to put my mouth where my money is. So the Knicks have, in my opinion, the Knicks have had a good season. I know it's not the season that, as the fans know, that we expected, but they still have back-to-back 15 wins, which hasn't happened since the 90s. There has been some games where the Knicks have lost, where they had no business losing, whether it was just crazy blowouts that just left a sour taste in your mouth, or they blew leads like to the Celtics, to the Cavs, and the Pistons, within the last 2 weeks. Everyone's concerned who's going to guard Cade Cunningham, but that's just one player. And in my opinion, the Knicks traded Emmanuel Quickley and Barrett last season for OG, and they gave him that huge contract extension for this exact reason. Like, hey, Cade Cunningham, me, your defender, OG Anunoby, first team all defensive player, lockdown defender, tall, physical dude, has like the body type of like Kawhi Leonard. And then also the Knicks traded 5 first-round picks from Mikal Bridges. So if OG's not doing it, then Mikal's doing it. And then honestly, they have other guys to throw them at too. They have Josh Hart, they have Miles McBride. Good offense beats good defense. Don't get me wrong. Like I think best case scenario they can just slow Cade down. I'm not saying that they're going to hold Cade to like 5 points. Like I'm being realistic here, but I do think that they'll be okay guarding him. And I really just don't want them to double team or blitz him past half court because, in my opinion, I feel like the reason why the Knicks have been losing to the Pistons this season was because of that exact reason. And then they throw a quick pass to Tim Hardaway Jr. or Malik Beasley, and it's just an easy 3. And I'd have to go back and look at it, but I'm pretty sure Malik Beasley had like 7 or 8 threes against the Knicks. Not the last time they played, but the time before. So that's my thoughts on the Pistons end. On the next end, I'm really curious who guards Josh Hart. So typically this season, teams have been throwing their center on him, and they've been daring him to shoot the threes. If he's hitting those threes, then that's great. If not, then I think that we need to see Miles McBride more, or you throw in Landry Shamet, or if neither of those are working, then you need to throw out a double big lineup of Karl Anthony Towns and Mitchell Robinson. But I think this is a fucking huge Karl Anthony Towns series. Jalen Duren and Isaiah Stewart, those are both huge rim protectors. This series really reminds me a lot of the Heat series against the Knicks 2 years ago, where Bam Adebayo was bringing the ball up the court. So Mitchell Robinson couldn't either. I mean, he had to guard him full court, or if he wasn't guarding him full court, he's kind of set up on defense. But if he's set up on defense on the other side of the court while their centers bring the ball up the court, then he's already creating mismatches. So I think this is a really big Cat series. If he can shoot, spread the floor, then I think it opens everything up for the Knicks. So in my opinion, obviously I'm wearing a Knicks hat and the Knicks shirt, so this shouldn't be a surprise here. But in my opinion, the Knicks are a better team with more experience. I think they have guys like OG who won a ring with the Raptors. People forget. They have Mikal Bridges, who lost in the finals a few years ago. They have Karl Anthony Towns, who lost in the Western Conference Finals last year. And they have the clutchest player in basketball and the best player in the series, in my opinion, Jalen Brunson. So I think the Knicks win the series. I think that if the Knicks do not win the series, then that's curtains for Tom Thibodeau, which, I mean, I'm a Knicks fan, so obviously I want them to win the series. But if he does get fired, I would be very curious to who they hire. They really kind of tie their own hands with trading all those picks for Mikal Bridges, because after the season, yes, you do unlock a few picks and you do have, some assets that you could trade. Like if you wanted to trade Deuce McBride, he's on a really good contract. If you want to try and sign and trade Mikal Bridges, then that would be another thing that they could work on. But other than that, you really don't have any moves. You're not going to trade Josh Hart. He's best friends with Jalen Brunson. You're not going to trade Karl Anthony Towns. You just traded for him. You're not going to trade Jalen Brunson. He's your captain. So you really don't have too many moves. So I think, unfortunately for Tibbs, if they lose this series, then I think it's curtains for him, even though he's really changed that culture in the Knicks locker room for the last half decade. But my prediction, I say Knicks in 5. If I'm wrong, I want people to come back and be like, you fucking homer. But I really do think Knicks in 5. And if the Knicks don't win in 5, I think they win in 6. That's pretty much it for this episode, though. Let me know in the comments, guys, if you guys like something, short form content like this. So this is going to be about 14 minutes. So let me know if you guys like short form content like this. Let me know if you guys like, when I have a guest on or 2 guests on. Let me know if you like dodgeball shit, whether it's in the comments or you reach out to me personally. I'm really curious to see what people's opinions are. So if you're watching this, thank you. I appreciate it. And that's it. Peace.